Welcome to weekly Forex forecast from Forex Trading Wizard Academy. This is Forex Wizard, your trading coach. I will be doing a complete multi-time frame analysis of all the hottest currency pairs, cryptocurrencies and indices that we'll be looking to trade next week. The list is a bit longer as usual, but don't worry, I will put a time stamp in the description area. But I'll suggest you to watch all of them. As you have seen in our previous weekly Forex forecast, most of the pairs did exactly according to the analysis. Now, as you can see that NFP has been released, we see that quite a few pairs currently showing clear direction in the market. So before I begin this weekly Forex forecast, to see one by one how we can trade next week, give a big thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. With that being said, let's begin this week's weekly Forex forecast. If we look at the calendar, we can see that Wednesday coming up NZD, and we might see some volatility on CNHS as well. And Thursday, dollar CPI coming back to back, 4 important news coming up on unemployment claims. And then Friday, GBP and USD. So this instrument could be very volatile, and that could lead gold and US30 and NASDAQ also remaining very strongly volatile. So first of all, let's look at from bigger picture perspective in all the instrument, and then we'll look at one by one how we can find trading opportunity. I will be looking first of all at DXY, as DXY will give us a clear idea of gold, AUD USD, euro dollar, GBPUSD, dollar CAD, and most of the dollar pairs. So DXY, I will be looking first of all monthly to see overall direction in the market. Now from the monthly, we can see that DXY has formed a candle. The previous monthly candle is a long wick from the support level. This is a very strong rejection. Now with that rejection this month so far, in the first week we saw that there is an attempt from the buyers to create a new higher high. Now if we look at this overall picture on the monthly, we can see the DXY maintaining series of lower high almost every single month. Now this month, once the market opened from this level, had a bounce to the upside. Now what I think that this week we might see DXY, as it is almost nearly approaching this monthly support. This week we might see DXY breaking down initially, breaking this monthly support, creating a new lower low, and we could see again another attempt from the buyers to go up to break this high. So DXY initially we could see a drop and then continuation to the upside to create a new higher high. As you can see, there is a very strong rejection here, and it is unlikely that the sellers will be able to sell to create a new lower low, as there's a strong buyers here. Whenever the sellers will break this low, we could see that buying pressure coming on DXY. Now if we look at the weekly time frame on DXY, we can see that from the weekly perspective there is a bullish candle followed by a middleman, and this week we have seen a very strong rejection from the top. Now that rejection could lead DXY to break this weekly low, and then we can expect another attempt from the buyers. So if we draw this weekly support so far this week, I think that initially we might see an attempt from the sellers to break this weekly low, and then we can expect at the end of the week again another bullish move to create either a weekly doji or a weekly bullish candle. Now looking at the daily time frame to see how the price action is evolving on DXY, we can see that there is a last day of trading week, a very strong rejection and a middleman in that zone with this doji. There is a strong rejection, and if we look at this overall market structure on DXY, which was creating series of higher high and higher low, and we saw with that movement the price has reached this important monthly support, which is turning resistance. There is a double top here, a breakdown, and with that breakdown the price has reached that support zone here, which is turning resistance here, and from that zone we saw that DXY had a rejection. Now today's candle, we saw that after reaching that zone so far, the price has created that bearish candle on DXY. I think that on the market opening we might see initial pullback to the upside to this candle, and then we can expect a drop from the daily perspective if we look at. So looking at further lower time frame to see how the price action has done, now we see that there is a clean head and shoulder formation in that area. Now with that head and shoulder, the price has complete breakdown from this level and leaving a neckline of this head and shoulder, which is the previous support level here, turning resistance. I think that on the market opening, as you see that the price already broken a swing low here, we could see some buying pressure coming from that zone on DXY. Now with this buying pressure, the price has reached that support here, support here, support here, which is turning resistance here, and from that zone we can expect DXY to come back down to break this low, and that could be the situation on DXY. And this is the weekly support, as you can see, and over the week we might see breaking this swing low, and later we could see that a bullish move for this movement. So this could be the wave on DXY for this week, and with that respect, what we could see, all the USD pairs might evolve in that same movement over the week. So now let's quickly look at all the USD pairs, how we can find trading opportunity, including gold. Okay, so starting with euro dollar. Now let's see how the price action has evolved on euro dollar, looking at the monthly time frame. Now from the monthly, as you can see, euro dollar had a very long rejection on the monthly, and with this long rejection, euro dollar in fact rejected from a very important monthly resistance level. This is a very high liquidity zone. From that level we saw that euro dollar, this is the monthly candle, has closed with this long week candle. Now this month, once the market open, we have seen that initially a drop and then has gone up above this monthly opening and closing. As completely inversely relationship with the DXY, we could see that euro dollar, after a little pullback to the upside, we can expect another drop. As we see that there's a very strong rejection, there is a strong seller in that zone on the monthly. What I think that this month we can expect euro dollar either to break this monthly low or at least to test this monthly support before moving to the upside. So euro dollar from the monthly we can expect is still further downside from longer term perspective. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that this is what exactly happened in our previous analysis as well. We expected euro dollar to drop from here, and it's doing exactly as it is. Now this is the weekly candle, which is a doji. Now this doji, what I think that this week we might see a break of this weekly high. This is the weekly high, and after breaking this weekly high, we could see that euro dollar coming down again to create a new lower low. I think the longer term perspective, we could see that euro dollar breaking this weekly low, which is also the monthly low, as there is a liquidity here. As the price moves from liquidity to liquidity, we could see that euro dollar breaking this weekly high, grabbing the liquidity and coming back to this another liquidity zone. So from the weekly perspective, euro dollar we can expect to be bearish, as we are expecting DXY initially to drop and then to be bullish. Now if we look at the daily perspective on euro dollar, we can see that this is the last day of trading week, NFP candle, which is potentially upside. And what I think that what we could see this week and first day of trading week, initial price to try to break this high or to create a new higher high, or even respecting this level, a drop to the downside from the lower time frame perspective. We could see that a continuation to this downtrend. As we see that from this daily time frame, euro dollar after this vertical move, which is a strong move, and the price is trending in that direction, and we could see this trend is continuing. I think that the price ultimately might come back to this level where there is the previous resistance here, which is turning support here, and from that zone we could see from longer time perspective another bullish move that we are expecting on the monthly support to break and then to move to the upside. So from the further lower time frame, we have seen a bullish move last day of trading week, and I think that this is a fake move, and we could see that this is a very important level of resistance here on euro dollar, and we see there's a very strong liquidity grab here. So we could see that with this liquidity grab, the price has created this high and then drop. We might see with this local impulse on the market opening, euro dollar to break this high, to create a new swing high, and then to continue to drop to this monthly support level. So this is what we'll be waiting on the new trading week on euro dollar to have potential selling opportunity along this zone. As soon as you will find suitable entry, we will consider going short on euro dollar with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now NZD USD, you can see that almost a similar pattern. If we look at the monthly, we can see the same kind of pattern. There is a long rejection on the monthly, followed by this, the first week of the month has created a very strong bearish candle. And what we can expect this week, the price to continue to drop in this direction after little pullback. If we look at the weekly time frame on NZD USD, now if we look at the longer term perspective on NZD USD, we can see that the price respecting this weekly level. This is the weekly resistance here, and also resistance here, and also there is a resistance here. Now what I think that this week NZD USD, like the euro dollar, we could see initial movement to the upside to test this resistance, and then continuation towards the downside from longer term perspective. Now if we look at daily on NZD USD, we can see that from the daily perspective, this is a drop, and last day of trading week a little long week candle. And from the daily perspective, what I think that NZD USD, we might see initial pullback to the upside to test this support level as a resistance, and then we can expect a continuation towards the downside. Now from the lower time frame perspective, we see that NZD USD has formed a bearish candle. This is a bearish engulfer from this level, and we could see initially pullback to the upside like the euro dollar on NZD USD, and we could see the price is testing this resistance here as a resistance, and from that zone we can expect NZD USD to continue to drop. Now based on how the price action is forming on the lower time frame, as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on NZD USD along this zone for potential downside, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Looking at AUD USD, looking at the monthly time frame, now we can see that AUD USD, like the NZD USD and euro dollar, showing exactly the same price action. We have seen that on the monthly opening, AUD USD had a strong drop first week of the month and creating a long week at the bottom. What I think that this week we might see AUD USD going up for a little pullback, and then we can expect further drop in this direction. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see a weekly candle that has a long wick at the top and bottom on AUD USD, and what I think that this is the neckline. It has formed a double top on the weekly time frame, a breakdown with this long bearish candle. This is the support level which is turning resistance here, and then we can expect AUD USD to break towards the downside. Now if we look at the daily time frame on AUD USD, we can see that back-to-back 2 days of narrow candle. Now in this daily movement, this is a strong bearish movement. If we compare this 2 daily bearish candle with this 2 daily bullish candle, we see that the sellers are still strong in this market, and I think that AUD USD may continue to drop towards the downside after the market opening or after little pullback. Now if we look at further lower time frame, we can see that AUD/USD already has formed a long bearish candle, and what I think that on the market opening we might see a bit more move to the upside. Like the euro dollar, we could see AUD/USD breaking this swing high, as there is a high liquidity above this level, and I think that in the beginning we might see a break to the upside to this level to gather liquidity, and from that zone we can expect AUD/USD to start its bullish movement. Now along this zone, as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on AUD/USD, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now looking at GBPUSD in the similar way, we can see that same kind of price action. GBPUSD has formed a bearish engulfer last session of the trading week. Now if we look at the monthly time frame on GBPUSD, we can see that after previous monthly long week candle, this month once the market opened, the buyers couldn't create any effort. Instead, we have seen that a strong rejection has broken the monthly low, and we see that there is a long week at the bottom. Highly likely that this week GBPUSD might come down to fill that long week or to create a new lower low. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that from the weekly perspective, there is a long week doji followed by a weekly candle that has a healthy body, and also there is a long week at the bottom. Highly likely this week we might see an initial movement to the upside, and then we can expect the price to come down to fill that long week, and highly likely we could see a break of this swing low on GBPUSD. Now looking at the daily time frame, we can see that from the daily perspective, GBPUSD also showing potentially bearish price action. We saw with this strong liquidity grab, GBPUSD has formed this impulse followed by this correction. We saw another liquidity grab, a strong drop, and the price is creating series of lower high and lower low. Now with this movement, we can see that there is a resistance here on the daily. What I think that on the market opening, we could see either testing this level or testing this level and then coming down to create a new lower low. Now from the lower time frame, this is the 4-hour candle, which is a bearish engulfer. What I think that in the market opening, we might see GBPUSD trying to break this high, and highly likely we could see a break of this swing high, which is also aligning with this resistance line, and from that zone we can expect GBPUSD to continue to drop. Now based on the market opening, if we see that GBPUSD has gone up, gathered liquidity from this zone, we can expect to go long, go short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at dollar CAD exactly in the same manner. Now dollar CAD, as you can see, with the weakness of euro dollar GBPUSD, we can expect dollar CAD to go the other direction. If we look at the monthly perspective on dollar CAD, we can see that from the monthly, the last month, the previous month, dollar CAD has formed a doji that has a long wick at the top and bottom, and we see that from that zone dollar CAD has formed this bullish candle. Now this price action for me is a long-term bull market. We see this with this monthly impulse. Dollar CAD has formed a triangular pattern, a breakdown. We can expect now the price to trend to the upside. Now this pattern happens over and over in the market. If we see an impulse, a triangular pattern, a break from this level, we can expect the price to trend to the upside. Now we see that dollar CAD has done all of them. Now bigger picture, we can expect this market to trend towards the upside. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that from the weekly perspective, USD CAD had a long consolidation here. There was quite a few long week candle, and from that zone previous week we saw a strong bullish candle. Now with this bullish candle, what I think that this week we might see, after a little pullback, another attempt from the buyers on dollar CAD to create a new higher high. Now if we look at the daily, we have seen the dollar CAD has done exactly as expected. In our live session also we discussed that the price highly likely could break this daily doji and then grab liquidity to go up. The price has done exactly as it is. Now we see that the price has formed a long wick at the top, and also there is a liquidity from this support level. We can expect dollar CAD to move towards the upside to create a new higher high. Now from the lower time frame, we can see that dollar CAD has a breakdown to this 20 EMA. Now if you have seen our previous analysis, this is what we exactly discussed on dollar CAD, and the price has come down to this liquidity zone, has formed this bullish candle. I think that on the market opening we could see dollar CAD again trying to test this support level here, which also acting here as a resistance. Support here, we might see a pullback to the downside to this support, and from that level we can expect dollar CAD to create a new higher high. So this is where we will be waiting for a potential trading opportunity. As soon as we will find suitable entry on dollar CAD, we will consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. Okay, so let's look at now gold. Let's see what kind of opportunity currently we have in gold. Now as you have seen, last day of trading week was very volatile due to NFP, and last week we had quite a few massive winning trades on gold. Now let's see how we can find trading opportunity this week on gold. As NFP released, we could see significant trend in gold. Now looking at monthly first of all to see overall bigger picture. Now from the monthly previous months, gold has formed a candle that had a strong liquidity. Now this is the monthly resistance level, and from that resistance we saw that gold had a rejection, created this candle that is long wick at the top. Now this month, once the market opened, as a result from that zone, we have seen first week of the month initial drop, and before the weekly close we have seen a pullback to the upside, as it has created a long wick at the bottom. On the monthly, we could see that this week, after a little pullback, the price will try to break this monthly low again to create a new lower low. I think that this week also gold remaining bearish, and we could see an attempt to break this low to create a new lower low, or even longer term perspective on the monthly, we might see that gold is coming back to this monthly 20 EMA. Now if we look at the weekly time frame to see overall picture, now from the weekly we can see that gold has formed a middleman. Now this candle has a long wick at the top and bottom, and this long wick in fact is a bearish candle. What we could see that gold might, after a little pullback, may come down to fill that long wick at the bottom. Now at the same time, if we look at the high of this weekly candle, we see that the price is creating series of lower high, which is a sign of strong selling pressure in that zone. So therefore we could see this week initially pull back to the upside, as we are expecting DXY to be bearish initially and then to be bullish later. We could see gold bullish initially, little bit to the upside, and then to be bearish later to fill that long wick at the bottom on the weekly perspective. Now looking at daily to see how the price action is evolving, we can see that from the daily perspective as well, gold is showing potentially bearish. If we draw this important level of support on gold from the daily perspective, this is a long-term support level on gold. If we extend it for longer term perspective, we see this is a support here, support here, support here, and also support here, which is turning resistance here. And we have seen that with this bearish drop on gold created a pullback, another drop, pullback, another drop, and we saw last day of trading week a pullback as well, also tested this important support here as a resistance. What I think that on the market opening, we could see initial uprise, we could see even a retest of this daily 20 EMA, and from that zone we can expect gold to have a rejection. So what I think that last day, first day of trading week, we could see that gold is going up to test this 20 EMA and also creating a stronger pullback, and then continuation towards the downside. Now from the lower time frame perspective, from intraday, we can see that there is a very strong bullish rejection last day of trading week, and with that rejection we could see that gold may try to break this high, as we are expecting on, if we go back to euro dollar and GBPUSD, we are expecting the same way to break this swing high to gather liquidity and drop, as they almost move in the same manner. We could see that gold from this level try to break this high to create a new higher high, and from that zone we can expect gold to come down towards its long-term downtrending direction, as we trade gold mostly on the very lower time frame. So if we look at the 1 hour chart, we can see that gold has formed here a bullish structure. This is a very strong impulse on the 1 hour and followed by a triangular pattern here. Now with this triangular pattern, gold form a very strong bullish structure. Now what I think that on the market opening, we could see that gold testing this 20 MA and then trying to create a bullish pattern to test this resistance zone here. So this is where I will be waiting on the lower time frame on the market opening for this potential bullish move to the upside on gold. Now as soon as we will see suitable entry on gold, we will consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now if we see that gold has made enough movement and creating again bearish pattern along this zone, I will wait for potential selling opportunity based on lower time frame price action to take this move to the downside with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now if you want to trade gold, euro dollar, GBP USD, all the instrument that we are trading in Forex Trading Wizard Academy, you can join us. There is a link in the description area. You can visit the website and then click join now button. You will be able to access all the trades that we are opening and also all the strategies that I am using to trade Forex, to trade the market every single day. So let's now look at JPY index, and then we'll look at the JPY pairs, how the market moved this week on JPY. Now looking at JPY, we can see that monthly perspective, previous months JPY has formed a long wick candle. Now this is a monthly shooting star on this monthly support level. Now if we look at this index overall, we can see that this is a very low price and the price has formed a shooting star in this support level. As the market started to move up, we could see that now JPY could try to break this monthly high or at least to test this monthly resistance level. So with that said, JPY might create a new higher high from the monthly perspective. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that there is a weekly doji on JPY that has broken this support level and gathered liquidity. Now this weekly candle with this, first of all, we saw previous week a long wick candle with a healthy body. Now this week the price has broken this support level, gathered liquidity, and then form this long wick doji. Now this long wick doji, as the price gathered liquidity from this support level, we could see that this week JPY remaining bullish, and we might see that the price is testing this 20 MA or breaking this high to the upside. Now from the daily perspective, we see that JPY showing potential reversal from this zone. Now with this impulse, the price has created this pullback. Now we have seen after this move, again the price has come down, has broken this previous swing low and started to move up. Now because the price crossed all this low, this impulse on daily had a liquidity in it, and we can expect now JPY after a little pullback to continue to rise, and I think that we could see that JPY is breaking this high to create a new higher high. So there could be potential movement on JPY pairs. Now from the lower time frame perspective, we can see that JPY is creating bullish market structure, an impulse correction, impulse, we can expect a slower correction and then continuation to the upside to create a new higher high. So there is a potential for JPY to continue to rise to the upside. So with that JPY index, as JPY is getting stronger, we might see majority of the pairs against JPY might be weaker. So let's start with dollar yen to see how the market might be doing. Now, as you can see, dollar yen trade that we have opened during the live session is still running in profit, and let's see how we can find next opportunity on dollar yen looking at the monthly time frame. Now from the monthly, we can see that previous months dollar yen has formed a candle that has a very long wick at the bottom, and there is a narrow body at the top. Now this month we have seen dollar yen has reached that monthly resistance zone. Below this level there is a liquidity and then had a rejection towards the downside. Now with that rejection, as we see that the price had a long wick at the bottom, highly likely that dollar yen might come down to fill that long wick, and I think that this month we might see dollar yen coming down, breaking this monthly low, and then later at the end of the month we might see that JPY or dollar yen is moving to the upside to create a new higher high. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that from the weekly perspective, dollar yen from this resistance had a very strong rejection, and the price just closed below this weekly resistance line. Now this close is super important, as we see the dollar yen from the weekly creating series of lower high, and the price has closed below this weekly level. As there is a long wick, we can expect dollar yen to create a new lower low. As there is a long wick, we can expect the price to come down to fill that long wick at the bottom. If we look at the daily time frame on dollar yen, we can see that from the daily there is a long wick at the bottom, and also there is a long wick at the top, and there is a liquidity gap here. As you can see, this is what we discussed in the previous live session as well, that dollar yen to continue to drop. Now if we look at here is a consolidation, and this is a smart money zone. Now from that smart money area, dollar yen had a very strong rejection towards the downside with this long wick candle. So the price tested this support here as a resistance, and we see that dollar yen from this level had a strong drop. Now last day of trading week, we can see that this is a daily candle that has a narrow wick at the top, at the bottom, and highly likely that this week we might see initial pullback to the upside and then continuation towards the downside. I think that the price might retest this daily support as a resistance, and then we can expect to drop. As there is a daily 20 EMA coming, we could see that the price dropping, filling that long wick and creating a new lower low. So from the perspective, as we see that JPY is getting stronger than dollar, so we might see this week JPY pairs giving better opportunity than dollar pairs. So let's see from the lower time frame how dollar yen is doing. Now from the lower time frame, we can see that with this long bearish engulfer on dollar yen, with this head and shoulder formation, we have seen that the price had a breakdown, and we can expect now from the lower time frame the price to go up again to the support here as a resistance, and then we can expect this continuation towards the downside. As during the NFP we have seen this long bearish candle, this could be a bit stronger move, and I think that dollar yen longer term perspective, we could see for the first move to come back down to this long term support level before moving towards the upside. So there is a probability for further move on dollar yen, and as soon as you will see that suitable entry along the zone on dollar yen, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at GBP JPY. Now if we look at GBP JPY from the monthly perspective, we can see there is a hanging man on GBP JPY on the monthly previous months. Now this hanging man had a very narrow wick at the top, there's a long wick at the bottom. And if you look at this overall market structure on GBP JPY, this is a strongly overextended market to the upside. If we take our Fibonacci from low to the high, we can see that GBP JPY, we can expect a pullback to at least 38.2% Fibonacci level now, which is also aligning with this monthly low, and highly likely that we could see GBP JPY coming down to create a new lower low. At least we can expect break of this monthly low, so there is a very high probability for GJ to continue to drop. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that from the weekly perspective, GBP JPY, this is the resistance line here. The price has broken all this high and there is a high liquidity in that zone. Now with that liquidity, the price had a very strong rejection on GBP JPY, and we can expect the price come down to create a new lower low. Now this is the weekly candle that has a very sharp rejection. What I think that on the market opening, we might see a little pullback to the upside and then continuation to the downside. As with this consolidation, GBP JPY has created a bearish price action. There is a strong liquidity and we can expect the market now to continue to drop. Now if we look at the daily time frame on GJ, we can see that from the daily perspective, this is a pattern here that we saw quite a few sessions. The price created a strong liquidity gap from the support level, and also there is a liquidity gap at the top and continuation towards the downside. Highly likely that this market may continue to drop in that direction. Now there are two probability now GJ to continue to drop from here or to gather liquidity from support, from the resistance zone, from this daily high. So if we look at the intraday perspective, we see that last session there is a quite a few candles high is broken and created this bearish candle. I think that on the market opening, we could see that respecting this resistance, GBP JPY trending towards the downside to create a new lower low. Now with that said, we can expect now GJ at least to come back to this support level, and there is a probability for the price to continue to drop. Now based on the lower time frame price action on the market opening, as soon as you will see GJ has given suitable entry, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at Aussie yen. Now as you can see in Aussie yen, the price is doing exactly as it is, as like the GJ and UJ. Aussie yen also respecting this resistance line, and we can expect the price to continue to drop towards its long time. If we look at the daily perspective on Aussie yen, we can see that after forming this double top, Aussie yen has broken down, and we could see that the market is respecting this daily high and then trending to the downside. Now like the GBP JPY and Euro JP and dollar yen, we can expect Aussie yen also to remain bearish. Now this is the bearish engulfer, and along this zone on the lower time frame, as soon as we will find suitable entry, we'll consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at Euro JPY and CHF JPY. Now as you can see, CHF JPY is comparatively stronger currency. Now from the weekly, we see that CHF JPY also has formed a bearish price action. With this break of this high on CHF JPY on the weekly, we saw that there was a very sharp rejection, has formed a narrower candle. Highly likely that this week we might see a break of this low to create a new lower low. Now from the daily, we saw there is a bearish candle after forming this double top formation. CHF JPY had a breakdown, and we can expect now the price come back, at least to come back to this daily support level. Now if we draw this trend line, as CHF JPY is comparatively stronger than other JPY pairs, we'll keep eye on it, and I normally hesitate to short CHF JPY than any other JPY pairs, as CHF is a stronger currency. But if we see that a very good opportunity, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at Euro JPY. Now Euro JPY, you can see that this is the daily doji. Now this daily doji is a bearish candle. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, like on Euro JPY, like all other JPY pairs, we have seen that there is a long week candle here on Euro JPY, and this one also potentially rejection from the resistance zone, and we can expect on the market open Euro JPY to continue to drop to create a new lower low. Now from the daily, this is the daily doji. Now this daily doji is potentially bearish price action. There is a drop, a doji, and we can expect the price to continue to drop in that direction. Now from the lower time frame perspective, from intraday, we can see that Euro JPY respecting this resistance line. This is the last session of the trading week, has created a bearish candle. We can expect a little pullback to the upside and then continuation towards its long-term downtrending direction, and I think that Euro JPY might come back to this support level from the longer term perspective. There is a high probability for Euro JPY as well to continue to drop to this support zone from longer term perspective. So as soon as you will see that suitable entry on Euro JPY, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. So all the JPY pairs, we have seen that potentially bearish. Now let's look at some other pairs that might give us suitable entry opportunity in the upcoming week. Looking at Euro AUD. Now Euro AUD, if we look at that, Euro looks like the stronger currency than AUD. Now if we look at, first of all, bigger picture monthly. Now from the monthly, Euro AUD is a very long-term bullish market, starting with this impulse correction, impulse long week candle, and then we have seen that Euro AUD had another strong bounce from this monthly support level. Now with this monthly support, we see that Euro AUD, pardon me, is currently breaking all this monthly resistance line, and we can expect the price to go back to this monthly resistance for longer term perspective on Euro AUD. Now if we look at the weekly time frame on Euro AUD, we can see that from the weekly perspective, there is a weekly pin bar. Now if we look at the zone here, we see that Euro AUD from the weekly gathered liquidity. Many times there is liquidity grab with this doji, followed by another doji, cross that low, form this liquidity grab. Now we saw that this pin bar also crossed quite the previous weekly low and then form this pin bar, which is a sign of bigger movement to the upside, completing an inverted head and shoulder on the weekly. Euro AUD may continue to rise to the upside to this resistance level. So from the weekly, we see a very high probability for Euro AUD to continue to rise. Now if we look at the daily on Euro AUD, we can see that from the daily perspective, from this daily support level, Euro AUD gathered liquidity multiple times, breaking this low, and we saw that in the daily perspective here also the price has had quite a few times of manipulation, which is a sign of potential bigger movement to the upside. Now this is the daily candle which crossed the pin doji completely, and I think that Euro AUD now may continue to rise to the upside to create a new higher high. Now from the further lower time frame, we see that Euro AUD from the 4-hour perspective, there is an inverted head and shoulder, and with that inverted head and shoulder creation, Euro AUD has formed a potentially bullish price action. Now this last session of the trading week, that candle is a strong bullish candle, and I think that there are two probable scenarios, either to Euro AUD just to test this neckline of this inverted head and shoulder to continue to rise, or we could see a drop again to this level to gather liquidity below this candle and then to continue to rise to the upside. So based on the lower time frame price action, as soon as you will see that Euro AUD has given us a suitable entry, we'll consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. So now let's look at US30, WTI and USD ZAR and US 100. Let's see how they are doing. Now first of all, I will be looking at US 30 to see how the market is doing. Now looking at the monthly on US 30, we have seen that from the monthly previous months, US 30 has formed a very long bullish candle. Now this month, once the market opened, the price couldn't create any new higher high. Instead, we have seen that creating a lower high had a very sharp rejection. As we see that from the monthly perspective, US 30 has created an inverted head and shoulder here on the monthly, break to the upside. As the price started to drop, we could see that the price is coming back to this monthly resistance line, which is a very important level. This is the monthly resistance, which is turning support here, and from that zone we can expect US 30 to have a bounce to the upside. Now if we look at the weekly time frame, we can see that US 30 had a strong manipulation here and then had a strong breakdown. We can expect now the price to come back down here to test this previous resistance as support, and then continuation towards the upside. Now this is the weekly bearish candle, and US 30, I think that this week either we could see a gap opening and drop, or a pullback to the upside to this previous support down resistance, and then continuation towards the downside. Now from the daily, we have seen that US 30 has formed a candle that is a bearish candle, and the price has gathered liquidity from this high, and we could see that US 30 after a little pullback to continue to drop. As we see that the price just tested the 20 EMA, we might see a pullback on the local time frame and then continuation to the downside, and we could see the price is coming to this important support level and then moving towards the upside again. Now from the lower time frame, we can see that US 30 after forming a long wick candle with this strong liquidity gathering along this zone created a very long bearish candle. This is a very strong breakdown, and we can expect the price to go up and test this level and then to continue to drop in that direction. So as soon as you see US 30 has given a suitable entry opportunity from longer term perspective, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at NASDAQ. Let's see how the market is doing. Now from the monthly perspective on NASDAQ, we can see that the price had a very long impulse to the upside on NASDAQ. Now with this long impulse, NASDAQ has had a very a rejection from the monthly perspective. This is an extremely overextended market. I think that NASDAQ might come down further. At least it will try to break this monthly low, and we could see a new lower low. If we take our Fibonacci for the minimum Fibonacci level on NASDAQ, we can expect at least 38.2% Fibonacci level, which can give US 30 NASDAQ a potential drop from longer term perspective. Now if we look at weekly time frame, we can see that from the weekly perspective, there is a weekly bearish engulfer. Now this weekly bearish engulfer, what I think that may have another drop, and we could see a weekly doji even in that zone on NASDAQ, and then we can expect the price to continue to drop. Now if you draw this previous weekly support, which is turning resistance, we can expect now NASDAQ to test this support as a resistance and then to continue to drop. Now if we look at the daily, we can see that from the daily perspective, there is a bearish candle and there is a doji here on NASDAQ. And what I think that from the daily perspective on the lower time frame as well, we could see after a little pullback a continuation towards the downside to create a new lower low. Now if we look at further lower time frame on NASDAQ, we can see that from this intraday perspective, the price gathered liquidity multiple times here. There is a long wick candle, and also there is a long wick candle, quite a few dodges. So in that zone, there's a very strong manipulation, and this is a liquidity gathering for this potential drop. And as the price crossed this 20 EMA and also gathered liquidity multiple times, we can expect NASDAQ to continue to drop. And as soon as you will see the NASDAQ has gone up, tested this level, we can expect to go short on NASDAQ with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at WTI. Now before we proceed to the WTI, guys, if you want to trade all of them, gold, euro dollar, GBPUSD, NASDAQ US30, you can join us. There's a link in the description area. You can learn the strategy that we are trading, as well as you can receive all the trades that we are opening in Forex Trading Wizard Academy. So let's see now on WTI how it is doing. Now from the monthly on WTI, we can see that it is also in a bullish momentum with this previous monthly long bullish candle. This month so far we have seen the WTI, after a little pullback, had another movement to the upside. First week of the month we saw that WTI was bullish. So let's see from the weekly how the price has done. Now from the weekly perspective, we can see that WTI from this level created this weekly long impulse. Now what I think that this week also we could see WTI remaining bullish, and highly likely that we could see WTI will rise up to this resistance zone to create a new higher high. Now if we look at the daily time frame on WTI, we can see that from the daily perspective it is a bullish trend, an impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction. The price is creating series of higher high and higher low. Now this drop on WTI, we have seen that it is a local breakdown and has broken this support level, gathered liquidity and created this impulse to the upside. Now last day of trading week we saw another candle that has also long wick at the top, and highly likely that we could see WTI coming down for a pullback, and probably we could see that another higher high at the top. Now if we look at further lower time frame on WTI, we can see that the market has formed a double bottom in that zone, and we saw a local breakdown, created a double top, an impulse to the upside, and then we have seen the price form couple of dojis in that zone, another impulse. I think that on the market opening we could see initial drop, and in that zone highly likely breaking the swing low, as there is a liquidity, and from that zone we can expect a bullish move towards the upside on WTI. So as soon as you see suitable entry on WTI, we'll consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at USD ZAR. Let's see what kind of opportunity currently we have. Now from the monthly on USD ZAR, we can see that USD ZAR this month, after previous monthly long week from at the bottom, after gathering liquidity, this month we have seen an initial movement to the upside. I think that USD ZAR, after drop to this monthly support, we could see this month again pushing high. Initially we might see this week a drop and then later a pullback to the upside. Now if we look at the weekly time frame on USD ZAR, we can see that this is a weekly bullish candle that has a long wick at the top, and what I think that this week we might see USD ZAR coming down to test this support and then pushing high to create a new higher high. Now if we look at the daily on USD ZAR, we can see that there is a in that zone there is a reversal pattern here. Now this reversal pattern had a strong breakout, and with that breakout the price left a neckline of this previous resistance here, which is turning support. And what I think that USD ZAR, initially we could see a drop to this level and then continuation to the upside. So lower time frame we could see downside on USD ZAR in the beginning and then later a push to the upside. Now on the lower time frame we have seen that USD ZAR has formed a consolidation here, a breakdown. What I think that on the market opening we could see a push to the upside, and from that level we can expect USD ZAR to drop. I think that from longer term perspective USD ZAR might remain in that wave going up and down, so we could see from that level a drop to this level and then continuation to the upside. So based on the price action confirmation, we will consider going short on USD ZAR from this level, And if we see that the price has come to this smart money area, giving us suitable bullish trading opportunity, we'll consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. I strongly believe that, guys, you enjoyed this weekly Forex forecast and you found value in it. Give a big thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.